Hey, beautiful people. Angela Renee. I gotta stop recording so late, but I gotta get this stuff to you guys. So, in Obedience, Chapter 4, The Power of Now. The title is Mind Strategies for Avoiding Now. And if you want to understand how to overcome making problems a challenge, and giving problems all this energy, and you want to get past problems, you want to be relieved from that, you need to listen. This is really good stuff. One of the questions that started off this chapter was it was basically, how, if this is a world that's built on time, right, and you got to pay bills and you're going to end up having to die, how can I not deal with time? And so this was basically his response was like, paying bills and dying are not the problem, right? The situations and circumstances are not the problem. It's like the core delusion that turns an event in a situation, right, and an emotion into a personal problem. That's the issue, right? The loss of now is the problem. Loss of now is the loss of being. So you just missed out on life. Focusing on a situation, a problem, right? An emotion. You just lost out on life. You took away your power, and you put the power, you gave it over to your mind. And that's the challenge right there, right? And so he goes on to explain two types of unconsciousness. Ordinary unconsciousness, which is basically like 3D level of consciousness, right? Where we're very caught up in our thoughts and what people say, and our emotions, or reactionary, that. And then there's deep unconsciousness, which he calls basically when you trigger the pain body. And that was all. We talked about that yesterday as well. So if you want to learn more about that, or we talked about that 2 days ago. That was chapter 2. So basically, when things go wrong, we get into this deeper level of unconsciousness, and we get into the pain, and that becomes our problem. Like, if we rehearse our trauma, things that have happened to us over and over again, that's what he's talking about, that deep unconsciousness. He says it's the undercurrent of unease and tension and boredom and nervousness, right? Those are undercurrents of the deep unconsciousness. So how do you avoid this? You avoid it by being the observer of yourself, right? Being that self-observation, moving and monitoring it in a way where you're monitoring your inner state. That's how you avoid it. If you don't want to slip into the unconscious level or deep unconscious level, then you have to be the observer. And when a challenge arises, acceptance, like we talked about, acceptance is the key, right? Okay. Second page of notes is talking about how do we get freedom from unhappiness, right? So he gave the example of like a job. If you have a job and you're not happy on your job, what do? Well, there's 3 responses. You could stop doing what you're doing. In other words, leave your job, all right? Or you could address the challenges, just address it fully and feel it. Feel this whole thing. Allow that moment, that situation to be, so you can deal with it and move past it, right? Another thing is that you can just drop your negative way of thinking, the negativity that you created around it. Drop it. Let it go. And then what was funny was someone said, how do you drop it? He said, how do you drop a hot coal or something that's heavy and useless, that's baggage? You just drop it. It's like some of these things, what we're doing, we're overthinking. We've turned that into a whole thing, overthinking, right? So I like that. So then what he says, ordinary unconsciousness is always linked in some way to the denial of the now. Whatever, like avoidance, procrastination, it's always linked to denial of the now. And so that's something, as an observer of ourselves, we want to ask ourselves the questions, right? Like, why do I feel like that? How does this make me feel, right? Get to know and deal with it so you can move past it. We're living in the now, people. We're not holding on to the past. We're not obsessing over our future. We're living in the now. And that is the most beautiful place to be. Last title was The Fullness of Life. And he says, the past cannot survive in the presence. It just can't, you guys. That's why you got to learn the power of now. And then someone asked, what is the power of now? And I love what he said, and this will be my last comment. He said, the power of now is none other than the power of your presence, your consciousness liberated from thought form. The power of now. Did you feel that moment? Just sit for a moment, just for a few seconds. Did you feel that? That moment right there, powerful. When it's free of thought. And if you're challenged in that, this is where meditation comes in, people. Meditate. Be still. Peace and love. Love and light. You got this. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Get the book. Read it. If you download it, listen to it. Listen to it probably about 7 times to get it. To get it in you. But be free. Be. One love, people. Peace and love, love and light.